Despite being a decade ahead of his time in seriously prosecuting sexual assault, he suffered consequences expected in the pre-Me Too movement era. Along with other members of his prosecution team, Mr. Nifong was attacked and harangued by the state and media. He was forced to resign from his elected position as Durham District Attorney. He was disbarred by the North Carolina State Bar, making him the only prosecutor to be disbarred since the bar's inception in 1933. He was denied legal representation by the state at the state bar's grievance hearing. He was denied immunity from civil prosecution and subsequently forced into bankruptcy, and he was jailed for 24 hours on a vague contempt of court ruling. He was routinely and gratuitously disparaged in the media, the News and Observer routinely referring to him as the former disgraced Durham District Attorney. The courts and media also went after others on the Duke Lacrosse prosecution team: Investigator Linwood Wilson, DNA Lab Director Brian Meehan, and Officer Mark Gottlieb. Years later, Gottlieb would commit suicide, likely due in large measure to the malicious media bashing he received. North Carolina Congressman Walter Jones led the charge to have Mike Nifong criminally prosecuted by the U.S. Justice Department for depriving the 3 Duke Lacrosse defendants of their, quote, civil rights, unquote. NC Attorney General Roy Cooper jumped aboard this bandwagon, but the U.S. Attorney General declined, leaving it to the state to resolve this matter on its own. Roy Cooper publicly submitted to the media his findings, upon which he justified his reasons for dropping all charges in the Duke Lacrosse case and declaring the defendants innocent. However, Cooper failed to acknowledge that his investigation included no record of the 6-hour interview the NC Attorney General's office had with Miss Mangum. That is, no recording of the interview with Mangum was conducted. Because Mangum's statements represented the most important part of the state's investigation, it is incredulous, beyond comprehension, that no record of the interview would be made. It is understandable that no attempt was made to record the interview. Had there been a recording, it would have shown the tenor of the dialogue. That is, the badgering and grilling of Miss Mangum by North Carolina Assistant Attorneys General Winstead and Coleman. Not in attendance at the interview, Roy Cooper had no evidence, either direct or indirect, as to what Crystal Mangum stated at her interview, which was under the direction of his office. Based solely on Roy Cooper's report, the mainstream media broadcast and published as fact that Crystal Mangum falsely made accusations of being sexually assaulted at the 2006 Duke Lacrosse party, often referring to her as the, quote, false accuser, unquote. One reason that female victims of sexual assault, harassment, abuse are reluctant to, quote, break the silence, unquote, as Time magazine put it, is because they fear that they would not be believed. This was especially true in Mangum's case, as she is an African American, not born of privilege respecting race and color, and her accusations were against 3 white privileged defendants from families of wealth, influence, and privilege who were enrolled in a prestigious university. The mainstream media made sure that she would not be believed as they perpetuated the Duke Lacrosse myth, which is 1. Crystal Mangum lied about being sexually assaulted at the party. 2. District Attorney Mike Nifong prosecuted the case solely for his own political gain. And 3. The 3 Duke Lacrosse defendants were victims of Mangum and Nifong. The second reason that female victims of sexual assault fear coming forward with accusations against powerful male predators is retaliation. In Crystal Mangum's case, The retaliation was in the form of a trumped-up murder indictment prosecution conviction in the death of her boyfriend, Reginald Day. Roy Cooper and Durham District Attorney's Office were aware that Mr. Day's death was due to medical malpractice by Duke University staff with his errant esophageal intubation, and that the stab wound she inflicted had no medical nexus to his demise. But Mangum's defense attorneys, the courts, the politicians, clergy, and the civil rights and social justice organizations would conspire to destroy Crystal Mangum's family and incarcerate her as payback for her audacity in accusing the 3 white Duke lacrosse student athletes of sexual assault. The media conscientiously making an important contribution to this injustice by keeping the truths of Mangum's innocence and crimes of the state's witnesses hidden from the people. When it comes to Roy Cooper, there are pluses and minuses. On the plus side, he has governed the state well and made respectable and deserved appointments, many of whom are African American women. His facade of being a champion of racial and gender equality takes a battering when the subject of Duke lacrosse accuser Crystal Mangum is considered. Here, Roy Cooper allowed his political ambitions take command over morality and human decency. Let there be no doubt that Governor Roy Cooper has been aware for many years of Crystal Mangum's innocence in the death of her boyfriend Reginald Day, and for his professional advancement, he has allowed the state of North Carolina to falsely arrest, prosecute, and convict her. Unfortunately, Roy Cooper lacks the courage to be confronted with the truths of her innocence and the criminal guilt of state witnesses that tore up a close-knit black family in Durham. What's worse is that he's set the tone for Attorney General Josh Stein and Durham District Attorney Satana DeBerry to follow. Because of Roy Cooper, justice in the Tar Heel State is nothing more than an illusion, readily evidenced by a review of Crystal Mangum's case, in which the truth is a casualty.